Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is December 23rd. The Yankees are adding 2 MVPs. Luzardo's on the move, Naylor's on the move, plus more. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the end of the year, and we got a nice episode for you guys today. Yankees doing some adding, Red Sox doing some adding, Mets, Nats. You know, some teams are in, some teams are letting the stove cool. There's still plenty of great free agents still available. Where will they come home to be for the 2025 season? Only time will tell. But let's dive on in. Like I said, we got a full episode here. And, of course, at this time of year, it's a little crazy, so things need to get done on my end here. We're going to start by talking about kind of the big news of the week here, and that is, unfortunately, that Rickey Henderson, one of the best, man. He has unfortunately passed away at the age of 65. His birthday is actually on Christmas. So he passed away on December 20th, 5 days before his 66th birthday, and that would have been on this Wednesday. And it's kind of a surprise, you know. It's a really shocking one because he, you know, was a great athlete. He was in good shape, and I mean, he was just kind of, you know, he seemed extremely, you know, he was in his 60s. You know, the last we saw of him was the Oakland Athletics last game in Oakland. He was there taking in a lot of the memories here, and he threw out the first pitch in that game as well. So, you know, and the pitch was a great pitch. Like it is a really shocking one, a shocking passing here. But Rickey, like I said, he's one of the greats for his speed, man, for his contact ability, his power. You know, will go down as one of the best leadoff hitters, one of the best, you know, the best base stealer among other bests, and you know, in Oakland history and MLB history. He was a great player on and off the field, great guy. He's a Hall of Famer, first round ballot. That was in 2009. He won MVP. He was a 2-time World Series winner, 1 with the Oakland Athletics and 1 with the Toronto Blue Jays. A 3-time Silver Slugger, a 10-time All-Star, a Gold Glover, as well as an ALCS MVP. You know, he had a luxurious career. He spent time with the Dodgers, with the Angels, with the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, Seattle, the Mets, the Padres, the Yankees. But, of course, no other team more than the Oakland Athletics. He spent 14 years of his 25-year career. He debuted in 1979 at the age of 20 and retired in 2003 with the Dodgers at the age of 44. That is a long time to be playing, but he was healthy. He had the speed. You know, you talk about how those years were. Obviously not the same Rickey that, you know, was with Oakland. But you look at some of those years, man, especially earlier on, stolen base numbers in 1980, his second year in the big leagues, 100 stolen bases. 1982, 130 stolen bases. That was arguably his best year for base stealing. Of course, he was always getting caught as well, but when you're taking that many chances, I mean, he was fast, and he put up great power numbers. You take a look at 1990, for example. That was his MVP year. He had led the league in OPS 1.016, a 5.77 slugging. He had 18 home runs that year. You know, one of his best years in home runs. That was 1991. He had 18 home runs. 1990, he had 28 home runs. That's the most he had in his career in 1 year. He leads MLB history in runs scored, 2,295, as well as stolen bases, 1,406. That's a record that no one will touch ever. He had 1,115 RBIs, 297 career home runs. He was 3 away from 300. He had 66 triples, over 3,000 hits, and accumulated 111.1 career WAR. in 3,081 games. So, he nearly had a hit a game. If you run those numbers, 3,081 to 3,055. But yeah, just an incredible player, an incredible human being, and a really shocking passing. As mentioned, he has the World Series with Oakland. 1993, he was on second base when Joe Carter hit the walk-off home run to win it for the Blue Jays. He had been around the game. People had loved this guy. I was watching MLB Network, and you saw, Dave Parker talk about him, and Jimmy Rollins, and all these great guys with great stories to tell about such an amazing player, an amazing person, and it's kind of unreal to say that he's not around anymore. It's a tough loss for the game, for the people who knew him, for his family, of course, and. Obviously condolences to everyone who's involved. And, for me, I never got to watch Rickey play, in person like that. I never got to watch a game where he was involved and saw him take these hats. But I've seen his plenty of highlights. You play with him in MLB The Show and all these great, ways to remember him. But yeah, one of the game's best and will surely be missed for everybody. So tough one to swallow there, but... Rickey Henderson, unfortunately, and I really don't sign off for when talking about guys who have passed away. We've done a couple of these by now since starting the podcast a year ago, almost 2 years ago. Wow. But yeah, Rickey Henderson, unfortunately. I'm just going to leave it there. Nothing else to say, really, and I don't know how to end it. So let's just dive in and start talking about the news. The baseball news for the 2025 season that matters, of course. And we're going to start by talking about the Yankees because they have done something this week that is very on brand with the Yankees. They are signing Mr. Paul Goldschmidt to play first base. They also traded for Cody Bellinger. What do these two players have in common? Well, they both have won MVPs in the last, I would say, 5-ish years. Cody Bellinger, 2019, I think, or was it 2018 with Bellinger? That 18-19 Bellinger versus Yelich era, one of my favorite eras of baseball in the last couple of years here. But two former MVPs are joining the New York Yankee squad here. Let's talk about it. Cody Bellinger, he is heading over from Chicago as well as he's taken $5 million with him. The Cubs are getting right-handed pitcher Cody Potet in exchange for Bellinger. And of course, before you're thinking like, well, that seems not really fair. The Yankees are paying a lot of Bellinger's salary, which is a hefty price. That's why the Cubs were trying to move him. And, $5 million is going with him, but that's still a lot of money that the Yankees are shelling out for Bellinger here. So, of course, the prospect haul and the player haul isn't going to be what it was. And speaking of not being what it was, Cody Bellinger, it was an MVP. He was a two-time All-Star. He was a Rookie of the Year, a 2020 World Series winner, a two-time Silver Slugger, a Gold Glover, and LCS MVP as well. All of that happened, I would say, before COVID. Those 3 years from 2017 to 2019, he was as good as it got. 2020, we saw a down year for COVID, and people were thinking it's a bounce-back year. He still played a huge role in the Dodgers World Series run that year, had a clutch home run in the postseason. So you're still thinking like, oh, he'll turn around. And then 2021 happened, and that is his worst year of the big leagues. He struggled dramatically. A 542 OPS, only had 10 home runs, and while each year he's slowly gotten better little by little, he still isn't that same player we saw in 2019 at the age of 23 where he was an MVP winner. 2024 last year at the Cubs, he had a good year, 137 hits, 18 home runs, a 751 OPS. That first year with Chicago when he signed with them in 2023, he had a great year. He finished top 10 MVP. He was a Silver Slugger. We kind of thought, oh, he was back. 26 home runs, 881 OPS. He kind of showed form again in 2023. So maybe 2021 and 2022, the dark ages of Bellinger, those years with the Dodgers. Last year, it's a good year for a player, but not the amount the Cubs were paying him for. That's why they tried to ship him, and they end up shipping him to the Yankees. The Yankees will take a chance on Bellinger, and to be fair, it's a great chance. Bellinger's only 29. He's going to be 29. And there's a lot of upside from Bellinger, especially now playing in the Bronx with the short porch here. He could be very similar to what Soto was for them this year. He could be, that guy that bats fourth in that lineup between Judge and Stanton. And, I think he fits the lineup really well here. And joining him as well is Paul Goldschmidt from the Cardinals. Almost Nolan Arenado as well. There was a report that Arenado... the Yankees offered Marcus Stroman for Arenado, and the Cardinals turned it down here. But Paul Goldschmidt coming on over, signing with the Yankees, an MVP, 7-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, and a 5-time Silver Slugger. Of course, most of that accolades and success came with Arizona before he went to the St. Louis in 2019. Has had some good years with St. Louis. Of course, 2022, an MVP year for him, an All-Star and a Silver Slugger. He was phenomenal that year. 35 home runs and 981 OPS. The following year, 25 home runs and 810 OPS, and then last year, 22 home runs and a 716 OPS. Definitely struggling with the stick. Is it Father Christmas and his age saying Goldschmidt it's enough, or was it just a down year and he still got just a little bit left in the tank? The Yankees are going to try to milk out whatever they can out of Goldschmidt this season. He's going to be 37, playing in his 15th year in the big leagues, has over 300 home runs, career OPS almost at 900, sitting at 892 currently. Long career for Paul Goldschmidt, but he's playing with the Yankees now. He's going to be with Judge and Stanton and Jazz and Bellinger, and all of a sudden, we talked about the Yankees, and how are they going to be without Soto? They've added Devin Williams and Max Fried, and they've traded for Cody Bellinger, and they've signed Paul Goldschmidt, and they have made moves here. And that Yankee team entering 2025, honestly, for this might be crazy, and Yankees fans, sound off if you're watching, if you're listening to this. I think they're better this year than they are right now. Maybe there's still a move or two out before getting over that hump, losing Soto and everything. But they are a much better team this year. I feel like they're going to have some more success than without Soto, which is crazy to say. The Yankees also this week, they traded away Jose Trevino to the Reds in exchange for Fernando Cruz and a catcher prospect Alex Jackson. So they lose out on Trevino, but the Yankees have been making these moves, and they've been doing this stuff, and it's kind of looked well right now. You got Volpe at shortstop. You'll have Judge in right, Bellinger in center, Stanton's your DH, Jason Dominguez in left field. Paul Goldschmidt now plays first. Wells behind the dish. You got Jazz probably slated at second. The bench has LeMahieu and Grisham still, and there's guys there. The rotation with Cole and Fried and Rodon and Luis Hill, who, by the way, was the Rookie of the Year winner. The bullpen, you have Luke Weaver there still, who was a great closer for you, but you also traded for Devin Williams already. You got Fernando Cruz in the trade with Jose Trevino just now. Clark Schmidt's still around. Mark Leiter Jr., Jake Cousins, Ian Hamilton. These guys have done it. They signed Jonathan Loaizaga back. So, they are much more diverse and roundified, and they've done it without having to pay a huge amount of money like the Mets did for Soto here. So, honestly, so far, props to the Yankees. They have been nailing this offseason in my mind. Trying to rebound from losing Soto. That's a big guy to lose. And, to do what they've done, to bring in the guys they have, now bringing Bellinger and Goldschmidt. I mean, these are guys, yes, Goldschmidt's going to be 30, 36, 37. Bellinger is going to be 29. There are these guys here, Goldschmidt a little more risk than reward, but Bellinger can put up an MVP caliber season. Goldschmidt can put up phenomenal numbers with an OPS north of 900. So a lot of upside here for New York coming into 2025. Let's see what other moves they can make here. But this is just a phenomenal start. Phenomenal from Brian Cashman here in the Yankees, because they are killing it right now, and they are making moves that they need to make. So with that being said, for the Yankees, what are their rivals in the Red Sox up to? Well, I'll tell you this. The Red Sox have made a couple of moves this week to bolster up that rotation. They started by signing Patrick Sandoval with the Red Sox, a 2-year, $18.25 million guaranteed. If I forgot to mention, Goldschmidt signed a 1-year, $12.5 million with the Yankees. I don't think I mentioned the price there. But Sandoval signs 2 years, $18.25 million guaranteed. I didn't see any opt-out clauses. Sandoval's been a great pitcher with the Angels, of course. How good can you be when you're playing for the Los Angeles Angels? Last year, dealt with some injuries, only played 16 games and struggled in those 16 games, a 5.08 ERA. But we've seen Patrick Sandoval at his best, and at his best, 2022, 2.91 ERA, 27 starts. He was great, 6-9 record, but then again, you're playing for the Angels, which is always tough. So I feel like his numbers in the, his stats can kind of get skewed because I've watched this guy pitch. If you saw the World Baseball Classic a few years ago, he was, great with Mexico and, phenomenal pitcher. And I think, there's a lot to like here for Boston. The upside is good. And, I feel like Boston, they have with the rotation a really interesting kind of like, this could be the bounce back rotation that we're looking for, and I think it's really cool. Patrick Sandoval did end up with Tommy John surgery. That was the injury that I mentioned he dealt with. And that was kind of late. So he's definitely going to miss the first half of the season probably, but, that's why you have him for 2 years here. And I think Sandoval is going to be a good candidate for Boston here. They have a lot of good candidates, I think. They also ended up signing Walker Buehler for the season here. 1-year deal worth $21.05 million. And this is interesting because what that 1-year $21.05 million deal is essentially a qualifying offer. That was the qualifying offer price. $21.05 was the price there. And the Dodgers didn't offer Walker Buehler a qualifying offer, which people were kind of surprised at. And I think this is why, because that was kind of the deal Buehler was looking for, and the Dodgers didn't want to pay him the $21.05 million, and that's why they didn't offer him the qualifying offer and let him walk, to what the Red Sox will say, thank you very much, because he is now ours. And Walker Buehler, of course, struggled last year, dealing with injuries as well, a 5.38 ERA in 16 games. But we have seen this guy be phenomenal. He finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting in 2018. He was top 10 in Cy Young voting in both 2019 and 2021, which is where he got his 2 All-Star nods from. He's a 2-time All-Star and a 2-time World Series winner in 2020 with the Dodgers, and of course 2024 with the Dodgers. He was the pitcher that got the Dodgers the last out in the World Series. Just a few months ago against the Yankees. Now he is going in the division with the Yankees, with Boston, to face them once more. And, Buehler's a tough guy, to hit at. And if he's correct and if he's pitching his top A stuff, he is a problem for sure. So now the Red Sox look a lot better. They've added Chapman. They traded for Garrett Crochet. So you look at the rotation: Garrett Crochet, Tanner Houck, Brian Bello. They have Cutter Crawford, Walker Buehler, Patrick Sandoval. Lucas Giolito. He should be coming back from injury and back to being healthy. Garrett Whitlock. He's going to be on injury for a bit. But they have a nice rotation depth there, the Red Sox do have. And now it's time to look at that offense a little bit, look at that lineup. Jarren Duran, Devers, Tristan Casas, Trevor Story, Yoshida, and then you have the guys there, some of the young kids, Willie Abreu, Connor Wong, David Hamilton, Cedane Rafaela. So options to improve there, definitely for the lineup. But the pitching is solid. I think Boston's going to turn out a solid team in 2025. Right now I think I'd have them finishing 3rd, which is what they finished last year as well. So, good for Boston, kind of keeping up with the Yankees a little bit. Baltimore needs to show up a little bit for the offseason, as well as the Blue Jays, realistically, but who knows what the Blue Jays are doing. But yeah, Boston, signs a couple of starters, improves their rotation, and what more can you ask for the week before Christmas here? So good stuff there from the Red Sox. Let's talk now about Guardians baseball for a little bit, because the Guardians have done a couple of things here this week, and interestingly enough, Josh Naylor has been traded from the Cleveland Guardians to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Guardians in the deal are getting a right-handed pitcher, Slade Ciccione, as well as a competitive balanced draft pick from the Diamondbacks. Josh Naylor, one-time All-Star this year. He had a phenomenal season with the Guardians. He had 31 home runs, a career high, 108 108 RBIs, a career best, 776 OPS, 243 batting average. So power numbers were there. Contact a little less than it was last year in 2023. He had an 842 OPS last year. He's been 6 years with the Guardians, of course, and he will not be playing baseball with his brother anymore, Bo Naylor, as he heads off to Arizona. And then after this deal was made, within the hour, I want to say, Carlos Santana signs with the Cleveland Guardians, a 1-year, $12 million deal. Welcome back to the land, Carlos Santana, the Gold Glover, Silver Slugger, as well as a one-time All-Star. In his long career, he's been 15 years in the big leagues. He debuted with the Guardians. Of course, at the time, they were still the Indians. In 2010, at the age of 24. Spent a long time with them before going to Philly. He then went back to Cleveland, went to Kansas City, went to Seattle, went to Pittsburgh, went to Milwaukee, went to Minnesota, and now he's back once again for his third stint with the Cleveland team. And of course, this one now with the Guardians. I forget when Cleveland rebranded, but he the last played for the Guardians in 2020 in that COVID year. I'm not sure if they were the Guardians already at the time or if they were still the Indians. Regardless, he is a Guardian. He is going to be with them of that third year. Last year, he had a nice year with the Twins. Of course, he's been having nice years, his whole career, really, after a couple of blemishes and blumps, down year in Philly. His worst years coming into that 2021-2022 season where he was with the Royals and Seattle. But then 2023, turned it back on, found it with Pittsburgh, got traded to Milwaukee, tried to help them, went to the Twins, had a good numbers there, 749 OPS, 23 home runs, 71 RBIs. What more do you want from a 38-year-old who also, by the way, won a Gold Glover? You're winning a Gold Glove at 38. That's impressive. His defense is still there. His offensive numbers, not like ones they once were, but still puts up beautiful numbers. OPS-wise, had over 100 hits, the last 2 years. So, he's going to be around. He's been with the Cleveland culture before. He's going to go and play for Steven Vogt. And, good for the Guardians. It's definitely a tough move moving from Naylor to Santana, but it's something that happened, like I said, within the hour. So it was something they were monetizing and monitoring, and they probably had a deal in place for, a couple days ago, but they were like, we got to move him first, so let's do that, and then we'll come and we'll finish off your papers here. So that's what will happen here. Santana will enter his 16th year in the big leagues at the age of 39. So we'll see how this season goes for him, because this is a season that could tell if he, is going to be playing his last season or if he's going to have 3 more seasons, how his age shows here back with Cleveland. So something to keep in mind out for as he has a year here with Cleveland. So good for the Guardians, of course. Good for the Diamondbacks getting Josh Naylor, who's got a power bat. They just, they lost a lot in this offseason so far. So bringing in some power bat like Josh Naylor there into Arizona should definitely help them out as they try to make their team a little bit better. Speaking of making a team a little bit better here, let's talk about the Phillies, because they have made their team a little bit better. They made their team a bit better. They're trading for Jesus Luzardo from the Marlins. They're also getting catcher Paul McIntosh in the deal here. The Marlins are getting 2 prospects from the Phillies, infielder Starlin Caba and outfield prospect Marion Boyd. Apologies if I butchered those names, which, knowing me, I most likely did. Jesus Luzardo, I remember this guy, in 2019 in what I believe was the last wild card game, one of the last wild card games in MLB history when it was Oakland versus Tampa. I remember this guy coming in for Oakland and really shoving them, shutting down that Rays offense in that game. Of course, Oakland ended up losing that game, but I mean, Jesus Luzardo was the bright spot of that game for me, and I learned his name that day, and I never forgot it. 2020, his COVID year, he finished 8th in Rookie of the Year voting. Since then, moved from Oakland to Miami. Had some phenomenal years with Miami, 2022, 2023. Last year struggled, dealt with some injuries. And, of course, the Marlins are, they're a fish market. They're selling off all their fishes. They started this in the deadline last year, and it's continued on here. I mean, that 2020 team that made the postseason, I'm pretty sure is all gone. And the 2023 team that made the postseason just a short 2 years ago, I think only has 3 players left of the 26. So Marlins, a quick turnaround from being so good to so bad. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because of the Sandy Alcantara injury and like all the injuries to starting pitchers, Yuri Perez in them. But the team has they're gone. Like the Marlins have went from something to nothing in the blink of an eye here. And for Phillies, Luzardo is a great bounce back candidate. And that kind of makes their rotation probably the best rotation in baseball. I'm thinking Zach Wheeler, I'm thinking Aaron Nola, I'm thinking Ranger Suarez. You throw in this guy, you throw in Christopher Sanchez. Like all of a sudden, Phillies are kind of the scariest 1 through 5. So. Good stuff there. Luzardo is a great player. He will fit in nicely with the culture, I think. And I'm excited to see him play Philly baseball, staying in the division still in the NL East. So good stuff there for him. The Phillies are also signing Max Kepler, which I believe, when all is said and is done, this will make the Phillies the hottest team in baseball. They got Bryce Harper, they got Trey Turner, they got Nicholas Castellanos, they bring in Max Kepler, Zach Wheeler. Like, they just got attractive men. That is funny, but it is true. I know it. Don't ask me how I know it. I know it though. Max Kepler coming in on a bit of a year where he, wasn't really himself. Played 105 games, 682 OPS, definitely a down year for him. Only 8 home runs. Struggled to say the very least. He spent his whole 10-year career with the Twins, debuting in 2015 at the age of 22. He is now going to be 32, and for the first time in his career, will be playing for a team not the Minnesota Twins. He's had some great years. 2019, he put up 36 home runs, 20 home run season, 24 home run season in 2023. So, I mean, it was a quick turnaround. Max Kepler at his best, very great player, but has those consistency issues. And, can the Phillies help him out there? Can he help out the Phillies? It's a good gamble to make because I think the upside of Kepler can kind of withstand the downside of, like I said, those consistency issues. He will put up a couple of numbers here. He can get you some sac flies. He's going to be a nice piece there for the Phillies. And, I think that's going to be a good stuff there, a good deal there for the Phillies. They're going to him on a 1-year deal for $10 million. So, yeah, I think Kepler will find a nice, have a nice year with the Phillies, hopefully. Is all you can ask for, really. Moving on now, let's talk about the Rangers as well as the Nationals, because they engaged in a trade this week, sending Nathaniel Lowe from Texas over to the Nationals in exchange for left-handed pitcher Robert Garcia heading Texas's way. Let's talk about the Nats for a little bit here, because they're getting a Silver Slugger, a Gold Glove winner, both before, as well as a World Series winner in 2023 with the Rangers. Silver Slugger in 2022, Gold Glove in 2023. Begun his career with Tampa Bay when there was Josh Lowe, Brandon Lowe, and Nathaniel Lowe. Brandon Lowe, Josh Lowe, Nathaniel Lowe, I believe. I forget which one's a Lowe and which one's a Lowe's. But anyways, there were the 3 Lowe's, and then not anymore. Of course, Josh Lowe. I know Josh and Nathaniel have the same Lowe and Lowe. Brandon Lowe, like now. So it's Josh Lowe and Nathaniel Lowe. They're brothers. That took longer than it needed to be. Nathaniel Lowe. It's been the last 4 years with the Rangers, 2021 to 2024. Put up some nice numbers with Texas, 78 home runs, 299 RBIs. A career in his 6-year career, his 2 years in Tampa and his 4 years with Texas. He's got 89 home runs, so he's 11 more away from 100, so hopefully he can hit that this year. Career 789 OPS as well as 329 RBI. So he's been a good first baseman, a left-handed hitter, has got some pop, and, could help out the Nationals here as they're kind of finding some form a little bit. The Nationals could be having an interesting 2025 campaign if they continue to play their cards right. So far, they have been, so let's see how that can continue on. They also ended up signing Mike Soroka. A 1-year deal worth $9 million. Of course, Soroka is an interesting candidate, kind of, had a couple of good appearances with the White Sox last year, but also it's the White Sox, so he got shelled a bit as well via poor management. It'll be interesting to see if the Nationals use him as a starter or reliever. I hope the best for Mike Soroka. 2019, I fell in love with this kid. He was 13-4, 2.6 ERA in 29 starts. He was an all-star, finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, and top 6 in Cy Young. And then, of course, dealt with those 2 years of injuries, didn't play in 2021 or 2022. In 2023, he only played 7 games, and he was bad. Last year was his first full season back in the big leagues since 2019. He played 25 games. And even I say full season, he was still dealing with a little bit of injuries. But, hopefully it works out for him. And hopefully Soroka is able to, find some form again, get an all-star appearance and do what he can. Because he is, his stuff is great. It's just a matter of putting it all together for a season here or two. And kind of finding that 2019 form when he was 21 years old. He's going to be 27 now. Man, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. How quickly time flies for Soroka here, unfortunately. But Nationals adding him and Nathaniel Lowe to the team to help out. Meanwhile, Texas, in exchange, after dealing with Nathaniel Lowe, this morning, I believe, actually, they signed Jock Pederson to the team. Of course, coming off a nice season with Arizona. 2-time All-Star, 2-time World Series winner. That All-Star appearance first was in 2015 with the Dodgers when he was 23 years old. That's where he debuted as well in 2014 with the Dodgers. The most recent All-Star appearance was 2020 with the Giants. In between the Dodgers and Giants, he also played for the Cubs and Atlanta. And last year was with Arizona, where he put up a nice season. 23 home runs, 64 RBIs. He had a 908 OPS, so he was putting up good numbers, getting on base, 275 batting average. 105 strikeouts, but of course Pederson, he'll strike out from time to time here. But yeah, 11-year career. He's going to be a 16 with the Rangers here, so excuse me, but I think it's a good signing for Texas, to join in there, with Seager and Simeon, and now kind of to replace Lowe, not defensively, of course, but offensively. I mean, his power numbers are there. He's a lefty, so, similar criteria to Lowe in terms of the offense, but they're going to need a new first baseman for the 2025 season, I believe, unless they have a kid that they're planning on using here, or if they have someone that I'm not thinking of. Currently listed at first base is Jake Berger, who they acquired for in a trade earlier this offseason, of course. I guess that makes sense because they have Josh Young at third. So you would have Jake Berger at first, Simeon at second, Seager at short, and Berger at and Josh Young at third. You have Jonah Heim behind the dish, Adolis Garcia, Jock Pederson, Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter making up your outfield and your DH. And then you have Higashioka, Leroy Tavares, Josh Smith, and Ezekiel Duran as the bench right now. Evaldi, DeGrom, John Gray, Jacob Webb, Robert Garcia. So the bullpen's there. Yeah, Texas looks good. They hopefully can have a better season and kind of, from 2023 to missing the playoffs, hopefully they can get back there again. Jock Pederson looking to help them out. Signs it's a 2-year deal with $37 million, but he also has an opt-out after this year, so it could be a 1-year deal if Pederson so chooses. So yeah, 2 years, $37 million with an opt-out is the signing here for Pederson, as Texas makes a move after making a move by trading away Nathaniel Lowe. We're getting later and later here, so we're going to go a little faster with these last couple here. We still have 2 big ones to talk about. Sean Manaea is signing back with the Mets. It's a 3-year deal worth $75 million. He had a phenomenal year with the Mets. 32 starts made, a 3.47 ERA, 12-6. He was a huge reason as to why the Mets made the playoffs to begin with. Him, Luis Severino, Jose Quintana, these guys coming up clutch after start. Of course, they didn't have Kodai Senga. So Sean Manaea, he is back with the Mets, a 3-year, $75 million deal that will help them out surely. And they also went out and signed Griffin Canning to a 1-year deal with $4.25 million. Canning, I would say young kid, but he's not that young kid anymore. He's going to be 29. Struggled with the Angels last year, as some pitchers do when they're with the Angels. Played in 32 games, a 5.19 ERA. Just didn't have his stuff. We haven't really seen his stuff since, COVID, I guess, 2020. He had a sub-4 ERA with a Gold Glove nod. An interesting candidate there to help him out. Probably be the 4th, maybe 5th starter if they even use him as a starter. So interesting to see how Griffin Canning goes. But the Mets add Sean Manaea back, stud, as well as Griffin Canning to the rotation, so that will help them out big time for 2025. Speaking of 2025, we've got a big name on the move here. Christian Walker is signing with the Houston Astros. Now, this news came out, and then shortly after this news, I think the day after or so, is when the Yankees went out to acquire Paul Goldschmidt. They signed him. So I'm assuming the Yankees were in on Christian Walker here, and why wouldn't you? He's been phenomenal. He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner. He's played for Baltimore before in 2014 and 2015. That's where he debuted. And if you don't remember, that's fine, because no one really does. He's been around the league for a long time, but people really only start to know his name, in 2019, 2020, in his age 30, when he was 30s. He was never really that good of a player when he was with Baltimore, even his earlier years with Arizona. But the last 3 years, in 2022, 2023, and 2024, in his ages 31, 32, and 33 season, is where he's won his 3 Gold Gloves. He's been a defensive prowess. He's also put up 36, 33, and 26 home runs. He's been an offensive machine for Arizona those last 3 years. He's been a huge part of their cog that turns them an 804 OPS, 830 OPS. So just incredible numbers there from Christian Walker. He's a powerful bat. He's going to be, 34. And the Astros are taking a huge gamble on that because they're giving him a 3-year deal worth $60 million, so about $20 million AAV here. That's a very decent deal for Christian Walker here. It's about kind of what I would expect him to get. Maybe not that 3rd extra year. I didn't see any opt-outs either, so I think they're going to be linked together for these next 2 years. We've seen the Astros take a chance on a veteran first baseman before in Jose Abreu, and let's just say that didn't work at all. They're going to do so again with Walker here. Hopefully it works for them this time instead of the same thing with Abreu. The only thing this does for me really, though, is kind of cement the fact that Alex Bregman is not going to be a Houston Astro, which I saw something on Instagram. If Bregman does sign elsewhere, Altuve would be the only player left on that 2017 World Series team with the Astros. So pretty crazy stuff there, because Kyle Tucker, of course, got traded. Yordan Alvarez wasn't on that team at the time, so Altuve would be the last Astros standing from that 2017 year. If Bregman ends up walking, if Justin Verlander doesn't sign with the Astros, like anything like that. But pretty crazy to say that. But Walker will be joining Astros. They'll still be a competitive team, but, no Tucker, no Bregman. But they still have Altuve. They still have Jordan. Apparently, they're still going to have Fromber. So it'll be an interesting year for the Astros, to say the least, and a very competitive AL West, it feels like. A's are making moves. Angels made some moves. But you still have Texas. You still got Seattle. And you still got Houston. So anything can happen there. But Christian Walker signing with the Astros, 3-year, $60 million deal here. And the last couple of signings we got for you, we'll kind of bust through them really quickly. Andrew McCutchen is back with the Pirates, 1 year, $5 million guaranteed. We know why. We know how this goes, and he'll be with the Pirates until he decides to retire. He's going to be 38. He had a decent year with the Pirates last year. Had 20 home runs, which is the most he's had since 2021 with the Phillies. 20 home runs. Excuse me. It's a big year for McCutchen, 739 OPS as well. So proper year there for McCutchen. He joins and heads back to Pittsburgh for a third straight year since leaving them back in 2017. Of course, debuted in 2009 with the Pirates when he finished 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. Has an MVP with them in 2013 as well. So he's back on a team-friendly deal. Gio Urshela is signing with the A's. It's a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. Of course, Urshela, we've seen him have success with the Yankees, some success with the Angels even. Last year was struggling with Detroit, got traded to the Athletics. And, put up some decent numbers when he was with Oakland. And now he re-signs with them. So, good for Urshela. And, simple deal there for him, trying to earn some value back if he can have another good year. Maybe, potential trade candidate, depending on how the Athletics season goes here. So, Urshela back with the Athletics. McCutchen back with the Phillies. Back with the Pirates. And the last one here, I'm going to butcher this one, but the Baltimore Orioles are signing Tomoyuki Sugano. I'm hoping I pronounced that right. It's a 1-year deal, $13 million. This player, Sugano, is coming from the NBP, the Japanese league here. He's 35 years old. He debuted in professional baseball in the NBP in 2013 at the age of 23. He's played 12 seasons with the same team. He's had some successful years. He's had some awful years. 2024 was an extremely successful year. At the age of 34, he was 15-3 with a 1.67 ERA in 24 games. Started for really incredible numbers there. Last year in 2023, he had a 3.14 ERA. So he's had a couple of good years, recently in his age, mid-30s season here. Baltimore, of course, sees this, the 15-3, 1.78. I mean, how could you not? So they take a chance on him, give him a 1-year deal worth $13 million. He'll come over for the first time in his career, as I mentioned, 12 years, all in the MVP, and now we're playing Major League Baseball. It's a gamble for Baltimore. We'll see how it pays off, but those are the last 3 signings of the week here. And that is going to do it for our episode here today. Thank you, everybody, so much. Apologies for any sniffles and coughs. I was sick. I didn't mention that at the beginning of the episode. But we had a great episode here, a lot to talk about, and we nailed it. I'm not sure when the next episode will be. Maybe even in the New Year's. Maybe Friday, January 3rd is what I was looking at. We'll see if I have time over the holiday break here. But I appreciate you all. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. If I don't see you again in 2024. It was a very great year for us. I'm excited for 2025. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you potentially in the new year next time.